Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to another week of GDQ Hotfix Speedruns. This is another episode of Game Over. I'm your host, Regal. Game Over is a show where we like to put on games that are either known for their high level of difficulty or games that are played on a higher difficulty level than normal. And this week we have a really cool run by a really great runner. Today's episode is going to be Yakuza Kiwami Legend, run by Big Nono. Nono, take it away for us.
I'm going to be running Yakuza Kiwami on Legend on the highest difficulty. There are a few differences in Legend. Mainly, enemies are a lot tankier and enemies are a lot more aggressive. So this is a really fun run, but it can also be very scary at times. But I'm sure that together we can fight the fear and overcome it. With me, I have a couple of other really great Yakuza runners. Please introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Firelight. I run the not so scary version of this 80%. And
I mean, you say that.
It's still kind of scary, but not as scary as Legend. And some other Yakuza games as well.
Hey, I'm Garlic. I also speedrun Yakuza games. I do this one as well, Kiwami any percent. I don't actually do Legend, but K1 is a lot of fun, and definitely trying to come back to it soon.
Yes, so without further ado, I think we'll just start. So the time will start when the first title card comes up. I will say go when that happens. So let's be ready on the timer. And we are starting now.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. So, as you may know, if you've played Yakuza games, there are a lot of cutscenes in this game, and the cutscenes are good when you're playing casually. Unfortunately, when you get to speedrunning, you want to skip them as fast as possible, which involves a bunch of meshing. Skipping cutscenes is one of the few things that have gotten consistently worse in this game, in this series over the years. It used to be that you would just hold a button to skip cutscenes. In the newer games, you have to press start, you get a prompt, you mouse left to go to yes, and then you have to hit confirm again. So it's a very elaborate process. Luckily for text skipping, we don't need to mesh. We can just hold R1 and confirm, and that skip text in every Yakuza game since Yakuza 2. Now, the tutorial here, this is a part that requires a lot of concentration, so I'm actually going to throw this over to Couch to explain what I'm doing here.
So, as you saw, Nono was trying to group up those enemies at the couch there to get some multi-hits, which is important to be optimal in this tutorial. We also don't want to get hit, which is unfortunate, because we have damage buff if we are at full health. So we just lost that one, but so far it could be worse. We can utilize those chairs to stun Hirata, as you can see. That way we can get behind them to get this full combo off, which does a lot of damage.
They knew this was a marathon run. They knew it.
They ruined it very early.
Yeah.
How much do you get from the damage buff at full health? Is it like a lot?
50%.
Wow.
It's huge. It's really important. So basically, we'll talk about this later, but that 50% damage buff is an ability we unlock. The thing is, Chapter 1 Kiryu is an almost fully leveled up Kiryu. So we have a lot of the abilities that we're going to be picking up later. Once we hit Chapter 2, we're going to be a lot weaker, but we are going to relearn this ability. But yeah, throw it again to the commentators again for this tutorial.
So in this first part is a block tutorial. You're just waiting for Yama to hit us 3 times, and then you grab him and do a heat move. And there's a little bit of a cooldown right after the first one, so then it might take a second to do a second one. You just do another one there.
Yeah, so in the tutorial, once we get hit, we lose the damage buff, and we can't really do anything about this because we don't have any healing items at this point because it's the start of the game. Later on, this will be mitigated by the fact that we'll get a lot of healing items, but between that And between the fact that we have a block tutorial here and Hiyama basically controls how fast we'll get through it, because we have to, you can't just hold the block, you have to actually get hit by something. So yeah, there are a lot of early game resets in Kiwami. In general, Yakuza tutorials are very, very reset heavy in the first chapter, I would say. And this lasts up to the new ones. Like even Yakuza 7 has a lot of resetting in the first chapter. Right here, so if you don't know, Yakuza Kiwami is actually a remake. This is a remake of the original Yakuza that came out on the PS2. And it's a pretty faithful remake in terms of the story, except for a few parts they've added. This one specifically tells the story of how Kiryu got a ring for a woman called Yumi that he's in love with. And you'd think, why would you need that backstory added in? And the reason for that is simply that you may remember the PS4 had a much touted feature where you could play a video game as you were downloading it. Like the idea was you were gonna download Call of Duty, so you download some of it, you play the campaign while you're waiting for the multiplayer to download. Same kind of thing here, except they realized that download speeds aren't fast enough for people to be able to start playing the game. So they basically added this whole section as a buffer so the game could keep downloading and you could keep playing Chapter 1 as you're waiting for the rest to download.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was very confused by this part of the game for a really long time until someone explained that was the purpose.
Huh. That is interesting.
Yeah. Very unfortunate because this part, again, it's just a lot of running around, but we do get an important tutorial here about fighting styles that we'll see in a moment. But yeah, the narrative so far is Kiryu picked up the ring from that luxury shop from La Marche, and we ran into that guy Tsuboi, and he stole our ring, and now we have to go and get it back. Also, interestingly, this game does have an out of bounds in the section coming up, so you're going to see that Tsuboi... that's the thing, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah,
that's the unfortunate part. So the way Tsuboi is crouching down there, you can kind of walk into his character model, and it pushes you out of bounds. The thing is, the scripting is so tight in this game that none of the checkpoints coming up are open at this point, so no matter where you go in the map, nothing happens, and you just have to go to Tsuboi like the game intends. Yeah, it's a very common theme with Yakuza games that a lot of the time, even if you find skips or out of bounds, you can't really do anything with them.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of games like that.
Yeah. This is like, I like the way the run is. I don't really need a lot of skips, but I would like to be able to skip the ring, at least. And let's see what kind of Tsuboi we get here. Okay, so we get standing Tsuboi. So I'm just going to finish him with that heat move. I call this the light heavy just because you trigger that by doing a light attack followed by a heavy attack. In beast style, using certain environmental weapons, bikes, signs, furniture. And it's a really, really broken move. It does a lot of damage, way more than it's supposed to, hence us one-shotting Tsuboi with that, even though this is legend difficulty. It's a lot more... They nerfed it a bit. In Yakuza 0, it's really, really important, but in this game, we only use it a couple of times. But yeah, that was Tsuboi. And right here is the rest of the story. So after Kiryu defeats Tsuboi, we find out that he sold the ring to a pawn shop in order to buy lottery tickets. So we're going to negotiate with this guy to get it back. So yeah, we're just going to do a bunch of running around. So if there's any announcements, Regal, anything you want to say, please go ahead.
All right. So GDQ's next all-women and femme speedrunning event, Cross Fatales 2025, will be live from March 9th to 16th, benefiting the National Women's Law Center. You can visit gamesdonequick.com/framefatales for more information on the event, or use !FF in Twitch chat to check out the schedule. Also, if you'd like to support GDQ Hotfix, check out the 2024 Season 4 shirt at theyeti.com/GDQ. And back to you, Minna.
Yeah, just to clarify, I wasn't cringing at Femme Fatales, which is a very important marathon, and I hope everyone will watch it. What you saw right there when Kiryu weirdly walked into that sign, that's a bug that can happen sometimes. We don't really know why. it happens on all versions of the game, but sometimes the pathing for Kiryu in that cutscene will just bug out, and he'll, instead of walking down the alley like he's supposed to, he'll just walk into the sign. It's just one of those things. Loses you like half a second for no discernible reason. You know, one of those fun things in speedrunning.
Oh no, half of a second.
Yeah, it might as well. Honestly,
over.
On Legend, I don't really care. In any percent in New Game Plus, it's getting to the point where I would reset over something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, those categories. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying. This category is probably not like super optimized at this point. Like, I'm not sure if that would be because of the lack of interest or just because of how random it is. Like, can you touch on that a little bit?
Just because I'm really bad at the game. No, it is. Well, for a while it was because of a lack of interest, but recently a second runner, now there's two of us, started running this. A runner by the name of Laver, who actually made a lot of contributions to this run, one of which I'll shout out in Chapter 3. Shout out to Laver, by the way, who couldn't be here today, but I'm very, very happy she picked up this game. Speaking of women in speedrunning. And yeah, so we've come up with a lot of route improvements. Fights can generally just decide, you know what, just lose a minute. Oh, lost the stream on Discord or on OBS? Oh, okay. I don't have any frame drops or anything. Okay, sorry, we had a bit of a hiccup.
It's okay.
Where was I? So yeah, it's one of those runs where any fight can just decide to lose you half a minute to a minute. I was on a big PB pace today. Garlic and Firelight can tell you, and yeah, we had some really heartbreaking stuff happen in the last chapters, and then I ended up like half a minute behind PB. So it's just one of those things. Now this part right here. Hold on, I'm gonna have to cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're going to see some speed tech. This may not look like much. What you just saw was huge. So you see that flashing B button there? That's to indicate that in order to throw a boss character on any difficulty higher than easy, you have to mash your button. However, you may have also noticed that when I threw that first guy, Kiryu flashed orange for a moment. So that's a charge throw. And to do that, you need to hold a button. You need to hold the throw button. Now, you may be thinking, how can you mash and hold the button at the same time? And the answer is you can't. However, on PC, you may remember we have two input methods. We have our controller and we have our keyboard. So this is speed tech I found out a couple of years ago. By just mashing on the controller and holding on the keyboard, we can do the charge throws. And this was huge. This really, really made this run much, much faster at the time. I'll answer your question in a moment, Regal, but there's also something to indicate here. Notice that I will do another version of the charge throw in this guy. And now look how much damage this heat move, this special move coming up does. That is Kiwami tech. This is an undocumented mechanic. Anytime you do a charge attack, the heat move following it does double damage. And that's huge. That's really, really important in all categories of the run. And I will actually have more to say about this tech later. But yes, Regal, you wanted to ask something?
Well, first of all, the dual inputs is like a classic like glitch for speedrunning. Like there's like a lot of games that have that. But I wanted to just ask, is that like any fight could lose you like minutes or so? Is that like a feature of like the normal difficulty as well, or is that kind of just like Legend that can?
No, that's Legend. Some fights on any percent can lose you a lot of time if things go wrong, but generally not that much. It is mostly just Legend difficulty. Every enemies do a lot of damage. They can be very aggressive. Yeah, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. I'm betting we'll see at least a couple today.
Okay.
So, yeah. I was gonna say, if we were worried for being underestimated, that's why I gave a really, really generous estimate. Because even though this run on paper is under 2 hours, is just over 2 hours RTA, a lot of things can go wrong. Speaking of things potentially going wrong, does anyone want to introduce our friend here?
Yeah, that's lovely Majima, which some of you might know. And this fight here, we are not supposed to win this, but we somehow found a way, obviously, since we are speedrunners. And we even get rewarded for it. We get 100 experience points if we manage to beat him. And we just saw a spin, which is very good, because that enables us to do a combo and get some back combos on him, as you just saw. Then we did that charge attack and a heat move for some very good damage. Note that heat moves in Legend do less damage than in the lower difficulties, obviously. But also repeat heat moves are very bad because they deal even less damage. So we try to get as many different heat moves as possible. We also want to be in Beast, in Brawler specifically for this heat move, because in Beast we have a different one, which does less damage. And yeah, we originally we didn't even think that it was possible to beat Majima on Legend in a feasible time. But I think some years ago, Nono found out that that special method to get Majima on Legend. And now, coming up, we will see his first Kiwami, which is a special mechanic for Yakuza Kiwami, who would have thought. And we cancel it with a heat move. If we don't cancel this, he will regen a lot of HP. And we don't want that, obviously, so we have to pay attention to his HP threshold. There's another one coming up a bit later. And as you can see, this is very scary if you get hit. But I trust that Nono can deal with this.
You'd think.
We see a spin. You can do this, Nono. I believe in you.
This is why I have backup saves. This is so classic.
Easy to die here. It's very easy to die here. Also, a heavy reset point in this run.
Yeah, you said this is like a scripted death, essentially.
We are supposed to lose this. The devs made this fight thinking that we lose this.
Well, yes, but also they had some hope for us because, again, you do get a reward for beating this guy. You get 100 experience points, which is going to be very, very useful. But yeah, when I said that anyone in the game can just act out and lose you a lot of time, this guy really loves to be a source of problems.
So do you do this fight in the 80% run as well? Like you
Yes.
as well. I imagine it's a lot easier.
Much easier, but also a reset point.
Yeah, sure.
Even there. I should say, well, I should focus on this. Yeah, I just had to eat this. Ooh, okay. Man is really out for blood today. Yeah, I'm going to have to take this a bit slow, because I don't want to die. But yeah, in any percent, this was also a fight that people used to just lose immediately, because they didn't really know of any feasible way to just do it consistently. Sorry, this is very, very scary. I have so little health. Okay, whew.
Oh, nice.
We made it. Okay, so we already made it past one of the scariest parts of the run. Thank you. Yes. So, in any percent, Majima takes a lot more, has a lot less health, so you can essentially, thanks to Max Crush, get through that fight in short order. On Legend, it took a lot of research to figure out how to do this. Basically, anytime Majima gets up, you do that long combo because he's programmed to block when he's getting up, and then that last move guard breaks, and that's a lot of how that works. Now, I need to do a menu here to take advantage of the 100 experience points we just get, so if anyone could explain the upgrades I'm getting, I would be thankful.
Yeah, so one of those first blue skills we got is grab mastery, which is pretty important because when you grab an enemy when you have low heat, it'll instantly fill up the heat bar. So that's very useful. And then a lot of these yellow ones here are like health and attack upgrades. And then one of the last important ones that Nono's going to get is called Destroyer Secret Gorged, which is the skill that gives us a big damage buff for being in full health.
Yes, exactly. Luckily in this game, the damage upgrades are actually locked behind health upgrades, so we have to get the health upgrades, which I'm very thankful for in this run. In Yakuza 0, you can get the damage upgrades independently of the health ones, so that run doesn't get any health upgrades. So it's I wouldn't say it's scarier, but it's scary in its own way. But we kind of glossed over this fight right here. First of all, you saw that the moment I grabbed Abe, I got that influx of heat. That's the ability Grab Mastery that Garlic was explaining earlier. And as you can see, again, we just one-shot this guy immediately thanks to the many, many damage upgrades we got from the fight with Majima. So that is very useful. During this little traversal here, I'm going to pick up a bunch of locker keys. These will open up some coin lockers in Chapter 4, and we pick up items from the coin lockers mainly for the money route. We just sell everything we get there. Legend needs... There's a few money walls in this game, and you also need to get a lot of weapons, so we will need a good amount of money.
I'm curious,
yes,
like, so that was like a pretty long, like, sequence of fighting Majima there, but you could have just, like, theoretically just died as fast as possible. But I assume, like, the experience you get from him does save a little bit of time on upcoming stuff. Like, do you know about how much time, like, optimally it would save to fight Majima there?
So, in any percent, first of all, the runner who discovered the effect I talked about with charge attacks leading to double heat move damage, that was a runner that's retired since by the name of Lilygram, and she made this discovery in 2017, I believe. And she also found the way to beat Majima, found one of the ways. We have iterated on it since for any percent. And she estimated at the time that beating Majima and getting all that extra experience for any percent saved like 15 to 20 minutes.
What? Are you serious?
Mm-hmm. Now,
ridiculous.
It is pretty amazing. In this run, fighting Majima does take longer. It takes 3 to 4 minutes. But also, like, the run without it, I can't even imagine. When I first came up with a way
that's
to
really
defeat
interesting.
Majima. Yeah. All right, so right here, I'm going to have to focus on the speed deck I mentioned. There you go. You do need to time this. It's not enough to just mash and immediately press spacebar. You have to wait a bit. So I generally try to time it so... like when you grab them and you start meshing, they do that, writhing animation. I try to wait for one cycle of that, and that usually works. So there is actual execution to this. All right, so does anyone want to explain this fight coming up here?
Yeah, so for this fight, we grab Takahashi, the boss guy, and do a heat swing, which takes out some of the ads and also does a little bit of damage to the boss. Then we run over to the side to grab a lamp and start swinging to take out most of the ads. Ideally, we have one guy left over.
Yeah, so this guy, I'm going to... No!
Oh. Yeah, that's bad because we need to be full health for the strat on the boss, but we do a charge throw on this guy, and no needs to heal because he got hit.
I need to heal twice. The knife damage is pretty nuts in this game. Yeah, that was unfortunate. Actually, pretty clean fight. Other than that, yeah, the knife guys just have so much hyper armor. It's very, if they decide to hit you, it's very difficult. But yeah, once again, you saw following a charge attack with a heat move does a lot of extra damage, and daggers already are very, very powerful in this game. So yeah, it worked out. But yeah, the lamp I pick up at the start just has a very wide swing to it, so it's good to for dealing with a bunch of enemies. Unfortunately, they didn't group up as much as they usually do. Usually you can take at least 2 of them out with just the lamp, but that time we had to do a bit of extra work. Okay, so we have, again, a lot of walking around to do. So, Regal, if you have anything else you'd like to mention, this is a perfect time for that.
I can read off some more announcements. All right. You can join the official GDQ Discord and add the Hotfix role, where you can keep tabs on upcoming events, talk with staff, and more. Use !Discord and Twitch chat for more info. If you missed out on any of our Hotfix shows or events like Back to Black or the English broadcast of Speed On 5, be sure to check out the VODs on youtube.com/gamesdonequick. And back to you, No.
Yeah, Back to Black had a really, really good Wolfenstein run. Really enjoyed that. This part right here, there's a weird thing where in the original game, you just come here and you pick up this backstage pass that one of the employees left, and you use that to go backstage. In Kiwami, they decided to elaborate on this guy's life story for some reason. You actually go back in, and his boss yells at him and fires him. And then you go back outside, and he says that he's not going to work here anymore because he doesn't want to mess around with organized crime, making him by far the most reasonable NPC in the entire history of the Yakuza series. Unfortunately, we are not so reasonable. We're going to deal with organized crime for many, many more games. But yeah, I do kind of understand why they did this, because in the original game, if you pick up the backstage pass and you talk to that guy, he just says, well, there's no point in me taking this because now my boss is going to fire me anyway. But Kiwami shows you that he will get fired. So that closes up that plot hole. All right, another standard fight here. We have this guy, Yasuda. He's from a rival Yakuza organization called the Omi Alliance. What's he doing here? We will find out much, much later. For now, I'm going to deal with this man in a way that should be familiar. I'm going to grab him and do a charge throw and a heat move. And once again, you see how important grab mastery is for this run, because you start every chapter, heals you up completely, but also takes your heat to 0. So thanks to grab mastery, I could just immediately grab him, throw him, and just use a heat move. So very, very important.
Yeah, a lot of the one-on-one fights seem to be pretty quick.
Yeah, especially in the early game, because we are just very, very overpowered right now, thanks to Majima. As I've mentioned, daggers are very powerful in this game, so we're going to buy one. We will see a lot of usage out of that dagger. Now, Kiwami on PC, as I've mentioned, does have mouse and keyboard controls, especially for, well, this will become very useful much later in the run, but for now, we get to use it a bit in first-person mode. So here's some KBM tech for you. And yeah, this is going to send us into the first set piece, into a long sequence of fights.
You primarily use controller for this, though, right?
Yes. I do actually, recently I've started thinking that keyboard and mouse might actually be optimal in some ways, or at least a bit more consistent, but I'm not going to relearn how to play all these games at this point.
There's a bit of that in some of the games that I run, where it's like, definitely maybe a slightly more optimal to run a mouse and keyboard, but like...
Really, for Souls games?
A few of them, yeah. The relearning, though, is like such a task that I don't really want to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so right here, I open up with that running move, holding the lantern. A lot of weapons, if you do a light, heavy, they give you like a running attack like that, which, other than doing good damage, also is good for mobility. Beast is very strong in terms of damage, but is also very slow, so you'll see me switch to other fighting styles every now and then just to... Oh! That is a bit more physics than I would have liked to happen.
The flying lantern.
Yep. Oh no! Oh, that lantern really wants to fly. Okay.
No.
In New Game Plus, at the start of this part, I actually switched to Rush. And that actually really sends the... Wow, I don't have any daggers to pick up, do I? Okay, there is one. Okay, one survived. But yes, that switching styles at that point for some reason just causes one of the lanterns to just fly vertically to space. It's very funny. But okay, right here I'm going back to full health just so I could get my damage buff again. 3 attacks on this guy, 2 heavy attacks on this guy. And that's it for the dagger. You'll notice that I fight a lot of these guys in Brawler. Brawler has... actually, could I ask one of you to explain what I'm doing here? Because I should probably focus on the action set piece. In terms of the Brawler combos.
Brawler combos in this game and also in Yakuza 0 are very interesting. Because the triple light heavy combo has like a very wide swing, as you can see. So we are able to hit multiple enemies with that. So we always try to position ourselves in a way in which we can hit at least 2, but obviously the more the better. For any percent, we can also use, in a easier difficulty, we can use a double light to heavy combo. But since this is Legend and enemies are tankier, we need to do the triple light into heavy.
Yeah, you'll notice we do a lot of extra movement. This is to basically, I'd say this is an AI manip. Basically, certain kinds of movement will get enemies to group up more. And like Firelight said, that last hit of the Brawler combo has a very wide swing to it. So if they're close together, there's a good chance we will hit many of them at the same time. Also, you'll see me do some quick style switching. Out of Brawler, you can do a quick style switch if you do one of those heavy kicks. In Brawler, from Rush, you can do a quick style switch if you do a bit of a block animation. Those discoveries are thanks to Padkey, another K1 runner. Okay, right here, I'm going. Oh, okay. They were really trying to hit me, but they couldn't. Relatable. Okay, sorry. This room is just a bit tense. And coming up, it's Majima again. Yay! This Majima fight is new to K1. In the original Yakuza, Majima is actually not that much of a presence. They kind of just had him as another member of your rogues gallery, essentially. And after the first game, Majima became really popular, so when Kiwami was remade, especially after Zero, they added a lot of Majima appearances, including the Majima Everywhere system that we will have the great delight of dealing with for the rest of the run. Right here, I'm going this way in order to group all these enemies up, to hit them all with the lantern. Ooh, this is pretty good. Okay, nice. And yeah, once all these guys are... okay. This guy forgot that we're in Legend, that he's supposed to be aggressive. But now, the fight with Shimano. So those who've played this game casually may remember that Shimano has a really nasty health regen here, so we want to get rid of him fast before he can use it. And could anyone please explain what I'm doing here?
So he just did a charge throw and is doing a heat move to get that extra heat move damage. And now we need to bait out an attack of him, which worked very nicely.
Okay, this was a good
now we do
Shimano.
Another charge throw. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, one thing.
And then we do the stabbies.
One thing that should be mentioned, you might think, oh, you can just kind of grab enemies, do a heat move, and grab them again as they get up. The devs kind of thought about that, and for bosses, if you try to grab them after they've been on the floor, they will counter your grab. They will either throw you off or actually do damage. Either way, you'll not be able to throw them. So that's why if I want to grab a boss again after they're down on the ground, I have to do something. I have to like let them get rid of their restored counter. So that's what I did there, just getting away, letting Shimano do a counter, and then do the second grab and the heat move. So right here, we got some classic Yakuza game design. Chapter 3 is usually your first big set piece. That's where you test all of your combat knowledge. And Chapter 4 is where the game finally opens up the entire city, so you can explore it, do side content. We will not do side content, but we will do a couple of things in the city that we need to take care of. First of all, I'm going to pick up these locker key items, like I said, the ones that will give us later a lot of the money we need. Also, at this point in the run, you really have to start worrying about fight spawns. Much like in... You can think of this a lot like random fights in JRPGs, where essentially random enemies will show up on the map and we will have to deal with them. And there are a few ways of avoiding fight spawns. The reason I bonked into that fight spawn right there is that in this game, this is sadly for speedrunners of those games, not true for earlier Yakuzas, but starting with Ishin, you can only get aggroed onto by one fight spawn at a time, which means that if you intentionally provoke one fight, that's easy to avoid. You can use it to avoid more nasty ones potentially down the road. Yeah. So every now and then you'll see me intentionally just pick up one of those fight spawns. And that's one of the many ways we deal with the fights in this game.
What you saw me... Zero.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
You could throw money into the air to prevent them from fighting. That's like the one thing I remember from Zero.
Yeah, so that is a real boon to Yakuza 0 speedrunning. And
really?
Yes, you use that a lot, but you can only start doing that in Chapter 6. So up to that point, you need to use other methods, some of which have been imported. Cool. Yeah. By the way, you only get, as part of the story, you only get that ability called Cash Confetti for Kiryu. For Majima, it's an optional ability, but it's so useful, it's so necessary to be optimal that we pick it up anyway, even though it costs like 23 seconds to actually get it. But, okay, so what are some of the things I've done? So I bought some extra healing items. I bought some food items specifically. Those are, like I said, they're extra healing items, but they're also going to be important for completion points. You may have noticed that I was talking to that clown guy in the intersection, and we picked up a stamina upgrade. That guy is essentially your... Do I want to risk it? Apparently, yes. Why would you risk this run on a marathon? That's very silly of me to do. But yeah, so as I was saying, completion points are going to be important. We're going to do a bunch of things to get completion points in the run. Another thing I picked up is the Elder Belly Warmer, which is an item that gives us a damage buff based on the amount of enemies we're fighting. And we're going to see how useful that is right here. So I'm just going to grab this bike, swing it around a bit, and bam, man is almost already gone.
Yeah. Does it scale down as the enemies are defeated?
Yes. Okay. Yes, actually, I was going to say it's a dynamic buff.
Yeah.
Which means that you actually want, unlike what you might think, that you want to start with the ads and then go to the boss at the end, Kiwami speedrunning actually incentivizes you to start with the boss and just let everyone wail on you, which, as you can imagine, is extra fun on Legend. It's really great. I love it.
Yeah, like if it just like applied it and stayed at the same amount from the beginning, that would definitely have a different connotation.
Yeah, the entire run would be very different in that sense. So it's fortunate and unfortunate at the same time, much like a lot of speedrunning, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You just work around the constraints.
Yep. I call that fight the dog defense fight because this happens in a cutscene. We don't see it, but those guys were actually abusing that puppy, and we we would not stand for that. And after the fight, you need to feed the puppy. You need to give it some dog food. In the original Yakuza, that's all you do. Which, as a dog, if anyone here is a dog owner, you may know that's very, very unrealistic. A dog just wouldn't eat dry dog food without water. So in Kiwami, they closed up that plot hole as well. You have to get some water, and you have to get a plate for him to drink the water out of. So already a big, big Kiwami W. You may notice also that I seem to be taking a huge detour here because I could just go through Tenkaichi Alley instead of going all the way around. The thing is, if you go through there, you have to get into a fight. And interestingly, because this is a big detour, this doesn't save that much time. It only saves like 3 or 4 seconds, but it is faster, and you don't have to deal with an extra fight, which, especially in Legend, is a blessing.
You say that as if I know the layout of the city. I'm like, oh, that's the only way that he has to go to get there.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I think a lot of not just speedrunners, but a lot of people who play Yakuza a lot, you start to talk about Kamurocho as if it's a real city.
Yeah, well,
like
it's all like the same in all the different games, right?
Well,
the layout of the city.
The basic street layout, yes, but you'll say things like, "Oh, this is next to the place where the Beef Bowl restaurant used to be." Like you will use specific references to specific games, etc.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are almost to the end of chapter 4. I am going to heal here, which may or may not pay off. But we have one more fight. We have a little bit of walking up to that point, so if there's anything else anyone wants to say, please go ahead.
I do have some more announcements, but right
You can hold on to those if you prefer.
Yeah, we'll space them out a little bit. It's okay. Don't want to like get rid of them all immediately.
Yeah, you want to save the good stuff to the end. I
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, this is our first visit to the Millennium Tower, which is a very, very important location in Yakuza. If you've only played Yakuza 0, you will not have seen this location, but you will have seen the empty lot, which is where the Millennium Tower was eventually built. And now we're going to deal with everyone's favorite boss in the Yakuza series, Hayashi. Please, someone in commentary, explain this man as I deal with him.
You could take that one, Garlic.
Yeah, so we're trying to do a charge through. Well, we're hopefully doing a charged attack on Hayashi.
You'd think.
So that.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah. Oh no.
Time for a fallback.
He's being evil.
Remember when I said
I haven't seen him. Jesus.
Things aren't going exactly to plan. I assume.
Imagine that. Yeah. Yeah, so like I said, we have strats, but anyone in Legend can just decide, you know what? I don't want to go down that fast. Oh my god. These things can just happen.
So what was supposed to happen there?
Well, what was supposed to happen is that I would do a charge throw, and then ideally, if I didn't get hit, I could just stomp him, and that would be enough damage to take him down. That didn't happen, so yeah, we just needed to use some backups.
So this could have been a lot faster.
A lot faster, like 20, 30 seconds faster.
Gotcha.
Again, Legend, you gotta have your backups. You gotta have your backups to your backups.
Right. So you're expecting
just
the possibility
nature of the run
of one of the goons interrupting you there.
Oh, very much. See, the problem isn't even that the goons interrupted me. That's also when I say a backup to the backup. I have a backup for if a goon hits me. Because if a goon hits you, then your charge throw will not do enough damage that the stomp is enough, so you'll have to do a charge throw and a heat move. But if Hayashi just acts out and refuses to let you throw him, you need to do that headbutt, and you need to heal all the way up and then do a heat move. So, yeah, there's a lot of layers to this. As we'll see, this is the only chapter in the run. Well, in this context, I'll do a couple of safety saves, but this is the only chapter in the run where there's a fight where I actually do a safety save even on PB attempts. Because it's a fight where if it goes wrong, you just lose minutes. So it's faster to reload a save than do a backup.
How long does it take to make a safety save?
Oh, very quick. The saves in this game are only a few seconds long, so it's not an issue.
Okay.
You know, I wouldn't do it on something as optimized as 90%, but for Legend, it's fine. All right, this guy right here, you may have seen that this... Oh, I love this game. Yeah, everyone's acting out now. But yeah, this fight right here, this is not a mandatory fight. This is a sub-story, as you will hear from and see from what's coming after this fight. This being... I guess this being an any percent run, you could say, you don't have to do any sub-stories, but the item we got right there is going to be really important. So the leech gloves, what they do, it's kind of like grab mastery. When you grab an enemy, they will give you a bunch of heat. However, since we already have grab mastery, we don't need those gloves. We're not actually going to use them for their use value. We're going to use them for their exchange value. There's a merchant coming up here, and I'm going to sell them to that merchant for a whopping 500,000 yen, which is going to be a really, really big part of our money route for this run. So right here, I'm going to talk to this man and just sell the leech gloves. Now, right here, we're introduced to a very, very important location in the Yakuza series. This is Purgatory. This is kind of an underground pleasure district that's inconspicuously just completely hidden from the police and most of the population. And this is one part of the game where the to be frank, terrible TV show did get right for some reason. This is the florist. He's this legendary info dealer that we come to for, naturally enough, info. And he doesn't want us to pay him in money. He wants us to pay him in fighting. So we agree to fight 3 guys in his Coliseum. And this is not a cheater's Coliseum, so we have to take off our equipment to participate in this. And yeah, I should focus here, so I'm going to let the commentators take this one up.
Yeah, so for the first 2 guys, we're gonna grab them, do a charge throw, and the heat move.
You may have seen this strat before.
Yeah, we will see the strats maybe a few more times in this run, maybe. I would also take this time to remind you that you still need to pick up the locker key.
Thank you, yes, thank you.
Now we do another charge throw and heat move. For the next enemy, it's gonna be a bit more elaborate because he takes a bit more work.
Yeah.
The legendary Gary Buster Holmes.
Love you, Gary, but not in this run.
Yeah, not in this run. We will do a normal throw, actually, and then do a little stomp. Then we can't grab him instantly after getting up. So we bait out an attack and hopefully get to grab him. Okay, yeah, charge throw and heat move. Very nice.
So the reason why I don't want to do a charge throw immediately is because at low health, he will get a heat move that we can't skip and does a lot of damage and takes a lot of time. So to avoid that, we do a regular throw, which doesn't get him to the health threshold at which he will use that move. And then we just do a charge throw and a heat move after that. The problem is, again, remember, Gary, being a boss, after the first time he goes down on the floor, will store a counter to a grab. And Gary's is actually lasts a long time, so we need to run around a bit, bait out an attack, and then we can grab him and do a heat move again. Now, right here, I'm going to put on my equipment back, because we're out of the Coliseum. And yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else we need to... Oh!
Did you say there was a Yakuza TV show, by the way? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, bless you. Like, that is the best way to be. Terrible show. Right. Really, really bad.
All right.
I wrote an entire article about why it's bad. Never mind
really?
right now. I won't bore you with the details. It just
fair enough.
It's not just that it's inaccurate to the story, it just doesn't get any of the themes of the game story right either, which is the bigger issue. But yeah, Firelight reminded me, and I forgot again, that I need to pick up another locker key in there. The problem is, that's a locker key we used to pick up in any percent, and then we routed it out, and then I routed it into Legend. So my brain never knows, do you pick up that locker key? Do you not? Is that an old thing? Is that like old muscle memory? It's a whole thing. Anyway, these guys right here are usually not a problem, even though they did kind of cost me a minute in a recent run. Again, Legend difficulty. Yeah, they don't do a lot of damage, but they are very aggressive, and we do want to be full health for the next fight after this. So yeah, we do a charge swing at the beginning of that fight just to clear some of them out, and then brawler combos for the rest of this.
Nice.
Oh, by the way, this will not be the last time I will say this, but Haruka, that little kid that we saved, that we picked up right before we saved the dog, and that was walking around with us earlier, she got kidnapped. She got kidnapped by someone you may know, and we have to go and save her. And I mentioned earlier, there's only one fight in this run that I use safety save for, even on PB attempts. This is the fight. This is a very, very scary fight. So right here, I'm just going to save. As you can see, very quick.
Yeah, that's pretty quick.
And here is everyone's favorite, Goro Majima.
Yeah, here he is.
And right here, I'm going to switch to Beast, and I'm going to attempt to grab him. Oh. And, yep.
Okay, I see.
And that is why we safety save,
That's
because...
a pretty quick reload as well, honestly.
Yeah, it's very nice. This game is also timed with a loadless timer these days, thankfully, so, yeah, you really don't lose a lot of time.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Majima is really, really quick. What am I doing? Majima is really quick, and if you don't grab him, heat move him, don't grab him, do a charge attack, and then immediately heat move him right after, then you will never manage to grab him again. So that is why I needed to be very careful there. You had to block.
Once again, it's showing off that you're taking care of the boss before the other enemies.
Yeah, because he also has a lot of HP, so if I hadn't done that, then we would be in trouble. Man, these guys are not taking it easy on me. But yeah, that's why you want to do the safety save, because if I hadn't reloaded, what would happen is basically Majima would just continually do his quick step all over the stage, and I would never be able to grab him again. So we would have to do a different strat that would lose a lot of time. So we did lose some time to the reload. You know, we had to skip the cutscene again, watch the intro to the fight again, but it's way, way less than if I actually had to come up with a backup strat for not finishing off as fast as I did. You'll also notice, by the way, that after that heat move, Majima was down to 1 HP. This is going to be something we see a lot in this run. A lot of the bosses in this game don't allow you to finish them off before you go through all their phases. So we had to have Majima switch to Slugger style before we could actually beat him. And this will be a problem in a lot of fights. But okay, we are in chapter 6, and we're opening this chapter with some Kameki training. So Kameki is a recurring character in the Yakuza series, and he usually is Kiryu's training master, teaches you all sorts of special moves. It's going to seem like the game is giving me an option here to skip this tutorial, but if you choose no, it just asks you again until you say yes. So we just get this out of the way. My theory is this is the move we're going to learn here is a counter heat move for enemies with guns. My theory is that they wanted to be faithful to the original games, so later in the game you have a lot of gun enemies. However, in the original Yakuza, guns really weren't much of an issue. They barely did any damage. They were more like BB guns. In this game, however, much like in Zero, guns really hurt. Guns do a lot of damage. They stun you. We will have a lot of trouble with gun enemies in this run. So I theorized that they really wanted to force you into this training so you'd have a way of dealing with gun enemies. If we could, we would skip this because we don't get that much utility from this heat move. But since we get it anyway, we get to see it once during this run. In New Game Plus, I think I use it twice. But yeah, any other category is just the one time. And yeah, so this is kind of a weird chapter as well in the game, in that this really doesn't advance the plot in any way. essentially, we're waiting until we get a contact from Nishiki, our sworn brother, which is only going to happen in the next chapter. So this chapter kind of gives you characterization for two side characters, for the florist we just saw, and Date, who we will see later in the chapter. But yeah, it really is just a chapter about how essentially both of them are really, really bad fathers. In the original localization of Yakuza on the PS2, this chapter was called Fatherhood. On my splits, this chapter is called Dudes Rock. Mm-hmm. They do not, in fact, in this chapter. Not the two that we deal with, anyway. But yeah, as a result, there's a lot of running around here. So again, if there's any announcements, anything for anyone to say... Oh, you know what? Actually, I can talk about... go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, it seemed like we had some, maybe some audio glitching out for the past, few minutes. I think it might have been resolved by now. So sorry to that, anybody watching, for the slightly staticky audio that might have occurred. I think it's okay now, though. I think you're good.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead, No.
So the character that stopped us when we got out of the purgatory is either Aoki or Tamura. The original Yakuza had those two guys appear a bunch of times, and I really, really hate both of them because they're kind of... They're very weak plot devices in that anytime the game wants to send you somewhere and doesn't know how, Kiryu just says, oh, I need some info. Let's talk to Aoki and Tamura. And then they just show up and say, oh, just go to that place. So that is a bit of my disdain for Aoki and Tamura. Luckily, we only see a bit of them in Yakuza 2 and then never again. This is Takashi. You will learn to dislike this man if you play Yakuza 2. But the real meat of this encounter, the real fight here is Beaking. And I will throw it once again over to commentary to explain what I'm going to do here.
You go, Garlic.
So we're doing another charge throw and trying to stab Beaking. So that hopefully after that's done, you can clean up the ads with the benches.
That was very strange. I don't know. I feel like that should have taken him out, but the game disagrees. Anyway. Yeah, so actually not... Okay. That's always funny when that happens.
It's also important, you saw those benches to the right side. Those are low value benches. We want those on the left side.
Yes.
Yeah,
the different
made that
benches
before.
Yeah, the blue benches do a lot less damage than the gray-black benches. I got this... okay, I'm just going to have to do a save and load. So if you're desperate, if you really don't have a good way of avoiding a fight spawn, saving and loading, as we've seen, is pretty quick. It's very unfortunate because that does cost you 4 or 5 seconds to do a save and load it, but it is better than getting into a fight spawn. Okay, and right here we have another fight. This concludes the first part of the chapter, essentially. So we've talked about charge attacks giving you a buff to your heat moves. Those charge attacks don't have to target the enemy you're going to do the heat move on, or any enemy at all. So I can just do that animation right there, and immediately, bam, heat move buff received. And that's very important because the good thing about that is it doesn't require grabbing the enemy I want to heat move, which is really good because, as you've seen, that guy was surrounded by goons, which means that picking him out of the crowd, and especially doing it without taking damage, would have been really, really difficult. That was a really good fight. I didn't take any damage, and after, the second table finished everyone off. Usually, you have a bit of cleanup to do after you use the tables. But yeah, being able to get the heat move buff, the heat move damage buff without grabbing an enemy is going to be increasingly important as we face enemies that have more ads and enemies that just straight up won't let you grab them. But okay, having dealt with all that, we're going back to the florist. In the original Yakuza, interestingly, the game would just teleport you to right outside the florist's office. In this game, we just have to hoof it. It's very strange because Kiwami, just like most RPG remakes, is very faithful for the most part. But then there's a few places in this game where they teleport you that they didn't in the original, or in the original they teleport you. In this game they don't. I'm not really sure why they decided to do one or the other, but there you go. And right here, when we go back to the forest, we're actually going to get a very important item. We're going to get a dagger called the Goemon. The Goemon, interestingly, gives you an XP buff when you use it in heat moves. That's not going to be very important, though. What's important about it is that it does a lot of damage. It actually does so much damage that in 80% we realized we don't need it, and we just sell it for extra money. The Goemon sells for 500,000 yen, which is a lot. In Legend, the extra damage from the Goemon is actually very, very important, so as a result, we have to pick up a lot of extra items to sell to make up for the fact that we don't have that 500,000. This is also a pet peeve of mine with the game, because at some point when you get out of the florist's office, Kiri says something like, oh, I should go back to Serena, and then you get out of Purgatory and Reina calls you and says, hey, come back to Serena. This is one of 2 instances in the game where the game just prods you again and again to go to the objective. But yeah, this is an any percent run, so we will just go to the objective as commanded. I guess I could talk a bit about stamina in this game, because we're passing past Bob, who we got the first stamina upgrade from. When you start a run, when you start a playthrough of Yakuza Kiwami, you can dash for 7 seconds, and you regain your dash as fast as you use it. So if you dash for, say, 5 seconds, you have 2 seconds of dash left. Stop dashing for 2 seconds, you have 4 seconds of dash left now. Once you get its stamina upgrade, that goes up from 7 seconds to 10, but most importantly, from that point onwards, your dash is restored faster than you use it. Which means that, for example, as you run from enemies, you can stop dashing and start dashing again, and you will regain your dash faster than you use it, so you can actually build up distance from enemies, which makes it much, much easier to avoid fight spawns, and it's also just a bit faster for movement. We used to get 2 dash upgrades, but turns out you don't really need it. It doesn't really save a lot of time in the grand scheme of things. And we will use those extra completion points for something else. Something very, very good. Also, I'm going to talk to the individual right here, and he will ask us for 30,000 yen to do something. He refuses to tell us what, just promises that it's worth it. Usually not a good deal to take in real life, but in Yakuza Kiwami, it actually pays off. We'll see what we get from it in the next chapter.
Just trust me, bro.
Just trust me, bro. Not the next chapter, actually. 2 chapters. Either way, we go into this pub, and this bartender decides that he wants to give us a riddle. What's the most expensive bottle in the bar? Turns out it's just the bottle that's aged the longest, the 25-year-old. There's a saying in the whiskey world, the 25-year-old whiskey is just a whiskey you couldn't sell when it was 10 years old. So take that for what you will. And yeah, we're almost at the... Beautiful. This is a part of the run. This is one of the longest traversals we have in the run, so this is a prime location to lose a lot of time to fight spawns.
Wait, did you just reload to despawn a fight?
Exactly, yes. Okay. Save and load at the same location, cool. Just, yeah. Interestingly, fight spawns obey a rule in this game where they can't show... When you load into an area, they can't show up in a certain radius around that area. Majima does not obey this rule, and there's a very infamous YouTube video of someone loading into Kiwami, not even saving and loading, like this isn't a speedrun, just casually loading into Kiwami, and Majima just immediately in his face, which is very funny. So right here I'm going to use a move called the Light Heavy. We saw this already, I think I mentioned it in the Tsuboi fight, and as you can see, this does a good amount of damage. Going to use it to get rid of this guy very quickly. Now, it is important that we fight a bunch of enemies, that we take out a bunch of enemies in Brawler, because you can see in the upper right corner something flashed that said defeated 45 out of 50 enemies in Brawler. We need the completion point for Brawler takeouts. So I do need to make sure that I'm not too overzealous on using Beast Style in this run. But yeah, we're definitely going to be fine. There's way more than 5 enemies that we're going to be taking out in Brawler by the time we need that completion point. Okay, so we are almost to the end of the chapter. This chapter specifically has been going really well, actually. This is one of the scarier chapters in the speedrun, and it's actually been going pretty well.
Nice.
But I'm not going to speak too soon. I'm actually going to take a safety save here because the Shota fight is usually okay, but this is a fight where you have a guy with a knife, which is already very dangerous. And this is a very small room, which means you can get knocked around against the walls and such. I have died in this fight in the past, so, you know, once bitten, twice shy, that kind of thing. But yeah, the charge headbutt and Shota, just again to give us that extra heat move damage. Okay. You never quite know if Kiryu is going to pick out the correct enemy to heat move, so I'm glad that happened. And yes, once that's done, we are just going to finish these guys off in Brawler, which we need to be in Brawler for the next chapter anyway. And that was good, and there's our completion point. Very nice, very nice. And okay, that is chapter 6. And this next chapter, they're still not quite sure how to advance the plot. So they just say, you know what, Kiryu? Just go to your old tattoo master and see what's up over there. Get your tattoo touched up. So that is what we are going to do right now.
Oh yeah, Date shows this photo of that woman, Mizuki, and you end up Kiryu goes to his tattoo artist who did the tattoo on his back to ask, is this your work? Because there's a photo of a tattoo on her.
With his signature.
But he ends up saying, this is my design, but I did not tattoo that. But then he ends up, I guess, just getting a touch-up while he's there visiting him.
Oh yeah, you're right. Like, I forgot that there is context for him going to his tattoo artist. Somewhat. Fair enough. However, the Deus Ex Machina is that while getting his tattoo touched up, Nishiki just calls the tattoo artist and just says, hey bro, let's meet at Serena later. So we just go ahead and do that. It's really funny because the game at some point introduces this character called Mizuki, who is supposed to be Yumi's sister, Yumi, the woman Kiryu bought the ring for in chapter 1. And they're like, she looks exactly like Mizuki, but she has a tattoo and she has a different hairstyle. And, you know, a person cannot change their hairstyle. That is literally impossible. So it must be a different person. It may not surprise you to learn by the end of this that they do turn out to be the same character. But stop me if you're getting deja vu for me saying this. Haruka has been kidnapped. So we have to go out in the world and see where she might be. And this is also where we get a couple of more coin locker keys. Yeah, hanging around with Date is pretty useful because you can still get into fight spawns with Date, but you can't get into fights with Majima. And Majima is much scarier than your regular fight spawns. Also, you'll see there's this thought bubble above Date's head, which I believe is misleading because it suggests Date has any kind of thoughts, which we all know not to be the case. But what that indicates to you as a player is that you can talk to Date, and that means that we have an NPC with us that we can talk to at any point. And as a result, that's a really, really fast and easy way of despawning fights. So that's going to be very useful during this traversal.
Oh yeah, I remember one time I had a fight spawn in this area, and I was trying to run to Date to despawn them, and we were just playing Ring Around the Rosie because he was just running all over the place.
Classic. Classic.
Yeah, I think that happened to me as well once.
I actually had this on stream a few days ago where Date, the parking lot we're about to go to, I left it and there was a fight spawn outside, so I turned around trying to talk to him, but he just stayed in the parking lot. So I had to just run back and get him, essentially. I love this NPC because he's completely drunk, and we ask him where Haruka is, and he just says, get me alcohol. And you threaten him, he says, get me alcohol, you threaten him again, and then he just tells you that he saw Haruka at a park. You know, he tried. I respect it. Interestingly, you never get the option of giving him alcohol You only either threaten him or ignore him. But yeah, it turns out Haruka got taken by... no, she was at a park. And for many years, we thought that you actually have to... You'll see that I have 2 objective markers on the map. For many years, we thought for some reason that you have to go to both objectives and only then go to this park right here that I'm going to now. Turns out you could just go there from the beginning if you know that that's the correct location and get into the next fight. And we didn't think to do this. We didn't think to do it, even though you do that in the original Yakuza. And that we did know. I don't know why we neglected to try it for so many years. I am ashamed for myself and the entire Yakuza speedrunning community. But at least we got it right eventually. Now, right here, as you can see, there's a lot of guys with guns, and you may remember, guns hurt. If I could give you a tip for real life, don't get shot. It's not good. It's not good for anyone. But yeah, so what I do is I try to come up here to essentially bait everyone so I could hit them with that lamp. Oh, come on. And yeah, once they're all in the same position, I don't get shot nearly as much, and also, this guy didn't take a lot of damage. This might be an issue. No, we're fine. I do need to heal, though. But yeah, sorry, as I was saying, bait them all into the corner, hit them all, get shot a lot less than I would get shot normally. And yeah, that worked out not too terribly. Ideally, you don't get shot at all, but we take what we can get. Now, at this point, Date talks to Kiri. He says, look, Kiri, Haruka got kidnapped twice. She's been through a lot. She's just a little girl. I think she can, use some time with you, just to chill time in the city, just take her mind off things. You know what place would be really, really great to take a child in this kind of scenario? An illegal gambling house where surely nothing violent or questionable ever happens. This will also be where we take our break in just a little bit. Mm-hmm. But we do still have a couple of minutes until that point. I am going to, for once, remember to do a menu here. And I will let the commentators explain. I should say, the menus here do have a bit of execution to them, because you'll see that every time I learn an ability, you get this text flashing up saying ability acquired. And if you hit confirm at just the right time, you can skip a lot of that text. So yeah, I'm going to do that now, and I'm going to leave to the commentators to explain what exactly I'm getting here.
So pay attention below the health bar, there's the heat bar, and we're gonna get lots of heat upgrades. But not only for the normal heat bar, also climax heat. Those are those rectangular thingies on the right. And climax heat then enables us to do special heat actions. But not only that, we can get climax heat power, which if the heat bar is filled to the point of climax heat, we do extra damage in heat moves where we have that buff.
Yes.
Which is also, I think, like 50%, right?
It depends. It depends on how many climax heat power upgrades we got. We got 2 of them right here, so we get a lot more of the buff than we got before. But yeah, this is essentially where we can take the break. I will just get to the end of this section, because this is just a bunch of unskippable dialogue. And I will just pause when we're at the end of this, and then we can resume.
Sure.
So we can start the break now, essentially.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and take a short, maybe 5 or 6 minute break. So if you need to go get a snack, if you need to use the bathroom, take care of yourself, this is the perfect time to do it. But we'll be right back in just a short amount of time and continue with the rest of the run. So stick around.
So I'm going to get to the end of this section, and then I'm going to pause.
Oh, you're okay. How about you're like saying right now? Okay.
Yeah, sorry. No, you can go ahead and take the break right now. I'm just saying this is just I can't skip any of this, so this is just a good time to like absorb this into the break.
Okay, sure. Hello, everyone. Welcome back from the break. I hope you had a good one. We are back with some more Yakuza Kiwami speedruns on the Legend difficulty by Big No-No. Take it away, No-No.
Thank you, Regal. Okay, this fight does scare me because these guys are very aggressive and we're fighting them in a pretty small room. This fight can kill you, so let's hope it doesn't. But yeah, I'm going to start by trying to grab this man and charge throw him. Oh, beautiful. It worked. We did it. We did it, folks.
Out of
Nice.
the woods?
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, fully out of the woods.
Nice.
Those two mini bosses are the scary part of this fight, and once you get rid of them, these guys really can't do that much.
Yeah.
Although I just know that one day they will, because that's just how speedrunning works. But for now, yeah, they seem to be. Okay, they're being a bit uncooperative, but all in all, it's fine.
Maybe
I
a
do
little
want
bit
to
of
be.
woods.
Yeah,
Some bushes.
it's like that one time in the community where someone says no worries and the other guy says some worries.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have some worries still, but for the most part we're good. So at this point, I'm going to do several things. For one, I'm going to use up my entire inventory of healing items. The reason for that is again for completion points. You see, once I hit 15 completion points, that is once I hit 15 medicine items, that's another completion points. And now we're going to pick up 5 items from the coin lockers. All of these we are going to sell at the pawn shop pretty soon. And yeah, that takes care of the entire rest of the money route. And here's our good friend Majima. He's not introduced himself to us just yet. I'm going to intentionally run into this little cutscene trigger, and that also despawns him.
Oh,
which yeah, that's
So is that
another thing you
random?
can do.
His appearances?
Yes, all of Majima's appearances, fight spawns, they're all random.
that's
There's some rules of thumb for how often they show up.
Okay.
That once you're practiced enough, you can kind of, if you haven't seen a fight spawn, yeah, exactly. If you haven't seen one yet, you know that one is probably coming up. But yeah, you kind of have to just take it as it comes.
That's a cool way to like mitigate it though, like stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a run that really rewards that kind of map knowledge, knowing where the cutscene triggers are, knowing where NPCs you can talk to are, etc. But yeah, now that I've used up my entire inventory, I'm going to fill it up again. Because as you've seen, again, enemies are very aggressive, they do a lot of damage, and ideally we want to be in full health, so we have to, you could theoretically just YOLO it and just not get any healing items at all, but that's not a realistic thing to do in this run. I do intend at one point to try and do Yakuza Kiwami Legend hitless. Not as a speedrun, just as a challenge run. Yeah, that's going to be a very interesting time.
Do you think that would probably take a lot longer of a run, or not much longer, or what?
Probably like an hour longer, because it means picking up a lot of extra items and a lot of extra, being extra safe. But yeah, now that we have, hopefully, yes, we have exactly 15 completion points, I can pick up the Beast Amulet. The Beast Amulet, as the name suggests, is an amulet. And what it does is it increases our damage in Beast style. I forget if it's 50% or if it doubles our damage. It's a lot. It's a big, big buff. And since we already use... Sorry?
I said that is a lot, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And combining that, like, you can see how over the course of the run between Climax Heat and the Beast Amulet and the charge attack thing giving us additional heat move damage, you really just exponentially increase your damage over the course of the run. It's very cool. But yeah, I'm going to try and heat this guys with some furniture. Okay, close enough. Now, the important thing is that I finish this fight in Beast style. and that I finish it in full health. That is actually very important. Okay, cool. And right here, we are going to finally face our boss for the end of the chapter. This man is Shindo. Shindo will get taken down very quickly unless something really bad happens. Really bad and really rare. It did not happen, so we should just one-shot him right here. Very, very nice. As you can see, that's a lot of damage, and that's without even the damage buff from a charge throw, because I didn't even use that. I would have ideally liked to grab a knife, but that's fine. There you go. That's your knife. Okay, this is actually not going too badly.
It's like you're already kind of trying to do hitless because of the full HP buff. Like that's like so huge.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I say that like an optimal Kiwami run is a hitless run, but an optimal one probably isn't. Sorry. Yeah, an optimal Kiwami run is a hitless run, but you're probably not realistically going to get that in
a
an
realistic
actual speedrun.
one.
Yeah, exactly.
Gonna have it.
But yeah, so that right there is thanks to the Beast Amulet. In any percent, because you do a lot less stuff, you do get the Beast Amulet, but you only get it in the finale. Because we already pick up a lot of extra items and do a lot of extra actions in Legend, we only have to do a couple of extra things that don't take a lot of time necessarily to bridge that completion point gap. And it's really, really huge for Shindo. Now, what I was alluding to that can happen sometimes is sometimes one of his guys can just like Mr. President and, you know, just like run in front of him and absorb your heat move. Thankfully, it did not happen this time. It's very, very rare. It happened to me once, like 2-3 years ago, but the trauma persists, I suppose. It's every time something like that happens in speedruns, it's like a new fear unlocked, you know?
Yeah. I found a new reset today. New
exactly.
Way to run to die. Like collecting them.
Yep. But yeah, so once again, you may. Oh no, he's doing the thing. Can I? This. Okay, this will be a problem. Okay, not too bad. That's fine. Am I going to have to charge throw these guys? No. Please stop. Please stop. Please stop. Okay. What a guy. What a guy. Anyway, so once again, you may once again get deja vu. Haruka gets kidnapped, and once again under the care of Date. So you know he's just a great guardian. Love Date. So what the game wants you to do casually is basically go around the city and try to track her down. You have to track down the hideouts of the blue gang, the white gang, and the red gang by talking to NPCs and fighting members of those gangs. Luckily, this is another one of those cases where if you know where they are, you can just go from one hideout to the other. So yeah, we're just like running across. You will see that on the map, I don't have any location markers. I don't have anything telling me where to go. So we just have to remember this. But these fights are pretty straightforward, just a lot of charge throwing. This fight, though, is a bit different, and I would like to ask one of my commentators to explain this as I go through it.
Yeah, so we're going to charge throw Yuji Shiraki, the main boss there, and then try to, I think, get one of the bats.
One of the bats, yeah.
And try to clean up the ads with that.
That bat just completely...
Yeah, it's not being nice.
Yeah.
That bat just completely got swallowed up by the floor. I have never seen that. I've never seen that before. Okay, this was very, very bad. Oh my god. Yeah.
The problem is, if enemies stand in front of a weapon, you obviously can't really grab it that well because you just grab the enemies. Which is the problem right now. But yeah, I guess we survived, so it could have been worse.
Yeah, but you can already see, like, even regular enemies do so much damage on Legend. I was actually scared I was going to die right there. Yeah, very unfortunate. So that's a very straightforward fight. Essentially, what you want to do is you get rid of Yuji Shiraki very quickly because he doesn't have a lot of HP. And then the problem is cleaning up his ads. And what you want to do is grab a bat and just start swinging away. But yeah, they were just very aggressive and yeah, mostly just bad luck. Also, I forgot to do something here. I need to equip the Goemon. This is where we actually start using the Goemon. And you can't sell a weapon that you're using, and I do want to sell the dagger that I've been using up to this point because we've used it up in the last fight, and we're just not going to need it anymore. So right here at the weapon shop, we get a lot of guns. We get 6 shotguns and 2 handguns. Guns are really, really good in this game against regular enemies only. For regular enemies, they just clean house completely. They're very, very good. Even on Legend, they make regular fights a complete non-issue. However, in a move that's actually, in my opinion, very fortunate, guns do very little damage to bosses. They barely do, like, you'll see later, they do like a tick of damage, maybe 2. And that's good because it means that even now that we have guns, it's not just shoot every boss to death. It's we're still going to have more elaborate strats for the bosses, but the mob fights are going to be much, much faster.
It seems like you're doing pretty good damage on the bosses anyways.
Yeah, I mean,
you get to do some like tech on them.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just going to be shooting everyone. We're still going to be using heat moves, charge throws, that kind of thing on the bosses. But yeah, Kiwami is very, very broken in its damage scaling if you know what you're doing. Which is,
all the stuff
very
stacking
fortunate.
is pretty ridiculous.
Yep. Interestingly enough, there's just like we have an ability in this game that gives you a damage buff at full health. We have one that you get a damage buff when you're at crit, but wouldn't really want to risk it with that one.
That's what I'm used to.
Yeah, RPSR and such, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so at the start of this fight, I'm going to just... Actually, could I ask one of the commentators to take this?
Yeah, so you want to start, as Nono did with... You want to stab the larger, which is the younger Akai brother, and take care of him first. And then we ran over and did a charged attack to get that damage buff and then take care of the other brother. And then we just clean up the ads at this point.
That's the wrong button.
Yeah, I want to see how the gun works here. Oh, wow, that's pretty good. The shotgun just took care of like 3 at the same time. That seems pretty good.
Yeah, the great thing about the shotguns in this game is they have spread. And they have really, really good spread. They also do a lot of damage. They would do more damage in a different fighting style, but I want to be in... So, weirdly enough, obviously your different movesets and different styles do different amounts of damage. But specifically, the weapon damage you do in Rush is less than the one you do in Beast and Brawler. But Rush, you get much faster movement, and I want that fast movement for the beginning of the next fight. So I have to finish that fight in Rush.
Yeah, so like you want to end in certain move sets, so you begin with them in the next fights.
Exactly, yes.
Because you can't change the move sets outside of combat.
Exactly.
Okay.
One of the more recent Yakuza's, Gaiden, actually has a really nice feature where you can switch your fighting style at the beginning of a fight, which is very, very useful because it means in the speedrun you don't lose any time to switching a fighting style.
Yeah.
But yeah, these older games don't have that.
That makes sense. I didn't even think about that, like wanting to finish in certain move styles.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but this brings us to the restaurant. And once again, I'm going to ask the commentator to explain what's happening here because I really need to focus.
We're gonna start off by running behind this guy here, and we position ourselves in very specific places to get optimal shots, which clears the first wave of enemies. Now the second wave, onto the boss guy, we're gonna grab him into a charge attack. then we're gonna wait for those enemies to come downstairs, hopefully. Yeah, sometimes there's a few stragglers that we're gonna have to take out now. We're just gonna take one of those swords to do that and do a heat move on that pole guy.
I was a bit scared that was going to heat move the.
Yeah, I also thought we get down Mr. President moment.
Yep.
But thankfully not. And yeah, now we clean up those guys, and then Nona's gonna do an upgrade menu.
Oh, thank you. I actually wasn't going to. I mean, yeah, I totally remember that thing that's in my notes.
Commentary so I can remember what to do.
Could anyone explain this game to me? This is my first playthrough.
Hey, I need my commentators to tell me, to explain to them how this goes.
Yeah, I just want to see that you understand.
Right.
Yeah. And for those guys specifically, we want to be in Beast, since we get a damage buff in Beast because of the amulet and stuff. Now we're gonna clean those guys up, then we swap to the dagger, and then we get to the boss fight.
This was a really good Chapter 9.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that can still change. It's been a great Chapter 9 so far.
Yeah, for Lao, we want to do this charge throw and then a dagger heat move. And it gets his HP down to 1. But with Lao, he wants to show you the next phases of the fight before we can actually finish him off. So we want to do that shoulder bash there, and it transitions him into the next phase.
Yeah, it can be random how long it takes bosses to switch their next phase. The shoulder bash just kind of resets their animations, and it forces the next phase if you're at the right health threshold. So by doing the Goemon heat move, we get them to 1 HP, so it clears all the thresholds for all their phases, and then we just need to, force it with the shoulder bash. It's really actually, someone should explain the shooting section as well, because I should also focus on this.
Yeah.
Here we go, Garlic.
Yeah, so luckily, at least on Kiwami, unlike Zero, we have mouse support for this shooting, which is really good because it makes it a lot easier to aim. This is very difficult on Zero with the controller, but we just need to take care of all these cars and try not to take, much damage. This will game over if you fail the shooting section. When it's, and then you'd have to go back and do that whole restaurant and Lao all over again.
Oh, that's
worse yet. Yeah. Worse yet, on Legend difficulty specifically, if you get hit by a rocket at any point, that's game over. That's a one-shot. So,
they have rockets?
Yep.
Those motorcycles have rockets, yeah.
Yeah,
also one thing to note.
Are you telling me your criminal organization doesn't have rockets?
Yeah.
Like what kind of amateur show are you running here?
Sorry, what were you saying, Firelight?
Another thing to note, we can get headshots actually, but it's kind of counterintuitive because we don't aim at the head, we aim at the center of this circle that we see when we aim at someone.
Yeah, you want to just aim on the circle there.
And we can sweat these rockets.
As you see here, we can also shoot those rockets, thankfully. Nice. So we aren't defenseless.
I saw the truck disappeared for a second, so they were just floating in midair. Nice.
That's because I'm on low graphical settings, so the draw distance is very low.
Yeah.
Now, if this truck hits me, I'm dead. By the way, I took a lot of damage there.
But that won't happen because you're cracked.
That almost happened.
Oh, very close. Wow.
Whew. I mean, no, I was never worried. Everything was fine. So the thing is, again, I don't want to be one of those people who blames the game, but there is variance here. It's not just skill. There's also the way the camera moves is very. it's a bit random. It kind of depends on the exact moment at which you took each enemy. So sometimes the truck, I actually had a run today where the truck driver just stayed in place completely and I could just shoot him and he was just a sitting duck. Sometimes the camera will move around a lot like that, and that is very scary. Also, this is our penultimate upgrade menu, just getting a bunch of damage upgrades here. Nothing flashy. I will say, the order in which you get these upgrades, this is another discovery by Laver. She found a more efficient way of doing this menu that saves a couple of seconds, which is very nice. Also, I forgot to mention that the Shimano strategy we used in Chapter 3 is also by Laver. I used to have a strat there that would use 3 heat moves, and she found a way to cut it down to 2 heat moves, which really helps because heat move animations are pretty long in this game.
I really like menuing optimizations. Like, huge fan of that.
Yeah, same. And there's a lot of that in this game. A lot of that was done by a runner by the name of Dominator. Because what happens is, if you're holding a weapon... Actually, you know what? This is something I'd better explain later. Can anyone please explain Blood Skip?
Yeah, so this section of the game, we're supposed to follow some bloodstains across the city. But Nono found a way, and a few others as well, Garlic, Laver, and Patty. This was a community effort to get some time save out of this, because we actually only need to hit 2 triggers in the city, one of which we walked past, like at this small alley behind us, and one is coming up. So if you look behind us, there's gonna be a bloodstain spawning in, because we hit the trigger in front of us right now. And originally we thought that we need to follow those bloodstains across the city, but yeah, turns out we only need to hit those 2 triggers and then we can just proceed as usual. That saves 10 seconds, and Nono actually got the time save for once, because in his PP attempt, usually there's always a fight spawn who's messing with him, but yeah, thankfully for the marathon, everything went alright, I guess.
Yeah, that's mostly thanks to that extremely relentless Majima. He chased me through half the city, so I couldn't get aggroed onto by other fight spawns. So for once, Majima was helpful in this run.
You said that it's like he usually comes in at certain like intervals. Like, how often is it usually?
Oh, so what happens is it's not specifically Majima. Once you have some experience with this game, you know roughly how often you need to get a fight spawn in. And it's not something like, I couldn't give you any numbers, but it's like, okay, around here there should be a fight spawn right about now.
Okay.
I was actually kind of, when we got the phone call earlier, I was actually kind of squinting because I was like, I didn't see a fight spawn yet, and I suspect one should be showing up.
Yeah.
And I said that it was actually a harmless one up in the distance, so we were fine. But yeah, it's almost like a sixth sense that you develop once you've run the game long enough.
Getting too lucky. Surely they don't.
Exactly. Yeah. Not a sentence I've said a lot recently with this run. But yeah, so basically here, as you can see, shotguns, like I said, trivialize a lot of these mob fights. However, there is still some tech here because you want to be optimal with your ammo, so you really need to understand the way shotguns spread. Okay. Interesting.
Everything going according to plan.
Yep. You really need to understand the way shotgun spread works, how to position yourself to get as many enemies shot in, as little ammo as possible. So there is a bit of execution to that, but in terms of just the fights themselves, everyone here just gets one shot, literally one shot by the shotguns. And we do also pick up some guns from the floor just because it helps us save ammo. Now, I do switch to rush every now and then, again for mobility, because you just move fastest when you're in rush. But remember what I said, you do a bit more damage in Brawler and Beast as compared to Rush. So sometimes I will briefly stay in Brawler just to shoot some enemies that have more health, and then switch to Rush again for the movement. Okay, up here there's going to be 4 enemies. I will ideally get them in 4 shots. Nice. 1 shot, 1 kill, as they say. And that leaves us with 3 shots, which is actually important for Chapter 11. But yeah, right here I'm going to switch to Brawler. And remember that forced Kamaki training we got earlier? We're actually going to use it, because this guy has a gun, and I would like him to stop bothering me. So stomp, second stomp, okay. He just started doing this today. Up to now, doing 2 stomps finished him off every time. Today, in the run I did before the marathon, and in this run, he did some extra movement. That's fine, at least. The risk there is that one of the gun enemies behind you will shoot you, but they were passive, so that's fine. And okay, someone please take Arase, because I need to concentrate in this fight so he doesn't get away from me.
Yeah, so we're going to shoot the ads first and just clear them out, and then try to grab Arase. He can do that sometimes. Don't we love Arase? And do a charged attack there.
That can actually go a lot worse.
Yeah.
So Arase is very fast, and he has a lot of animations that allow him to evade grabs and such, so you want to shut him down as fast as possible. Ideally, you stagger him with the shotgun. Again, shotguns don't, and guns in general, do very little damage to bosses, but they do stagger them, so that's a nice side effect. However, if you end up hitting him with too much of your shotgun volley, he will get up and will start running around. So yeah, obviously the ideal thing would have been for Arase to not run around at all, but we caught up to him relatively quickly, so it wasn't too bad.
That dagger stab does so much damage.
Yeah, the Goemon is an incredibly powerful weapon. Does a lot of damage. Combine that with, again, the Beast Amulet, the Charred Throw, and everything else we have going on. Again, the damage stacking in this game is really, it's completely broken. I love it. I always try to sell people on Kiwami as a run by saying it's like a cartoon. Everything is very over the top. But your time losses are also very over the top. If you take damage, if enemies just decide to be very uncooperative, especially on Legend, it's kind of hilarity ensues.
I do like getting really powerful in my speedruns, I'll say. And being at low health is one thing because you're at risk of death, but also like trying to stay at full health the whole time is also like still an annoyance.
Yeah, it's definitely it's less scary, of course, because you can always heal more, so you don't die. But it's still very risky, even on 80%.
Yeah.
But I do really like that aspect of Dark Souls that you like. It's very much like a glass cannon thing where you do a lot of damage, but you pay for it by being very fragile.
There's other games that have that mechanic going on as well. It's like a pretty popular mechanic for games, like just critical mode.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of Yakuza games that do this. Yakuza 6, Gaiden, it kind of looks like Pirate Yakuza is going to be that way as well, where there's a lot of items that give you a big damage buff, but they also really lower your defense or your health or whatever. And you just end up, even on the lowest difficulties, getting 2 or 3 shot by bosses.
Yeah.
But, okay, coming up here, I'm going to do the last upgrade of the run. Excuse me, sir. Didn't need that, but, just to be on the safe side. So I'm going to once again equip the shotgun here, and I'm going to get Time for Destruction. And we will talk about Time for Destruction in a bit. In the meantime, does anyone want to describe a bit of what's... Actually, Regal, do you have anything you want to add at this point? Any announcements?
Yeah, I could do some more announcements. It's been a little bit. You ready right now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered on the GDQ Twitch channel Help support Games Done Quick Hotfix. If you enjoy watching speedruns, consider subscribing to the channel to get access to our emotes and chat with other subscribers during our replays. You can also go to gamesdonequick.com/hotfix to check out the season schedule and check out the schedule for an in-depth look at this week's runs. Back to you, Nona.
Yeah, it's a good thing you took that away, because everything I would have said during that would have just been a string of expletives. And as you can see, anyone can just decide, you know what, I just don't feel like getting grabbed today, and just ruin your life like that.
There's a lot of fights. Like, I can definitely see how like a lot of time loss can accumulate.
Just to give you an idea, my current PB, the world record in this category is 153.53, and today I got a sub 150 sum of best. So there's so much time saved to get. You just need to.
Well, especially in a longer run.
Yeah. But yeah, as I'm just running around here, does anyone want to explain what's happening in the story?
Yeah, so at the end of the previous chapter, Reina and Shinji were killed. And so now at this point, you're kind of running around back and forth because Shinji told Kiryu to find his girlfriend named Akemi, who works at a place called Shangri-La that we're going to see pretty soon. And Kiryu needs to figure out how to get a membership card, which you need to get in there. So he goes to Club Shine, which was the previous club we went to just before, and talks to a hostess named Shinmei, who says she could help get one of those membership cards. So she says you have to go to Jewel, which is the club we just walked out of, because there's someone that works there that can help get Shinmei a passport as kind of an exchange for helping get the membership card. She needs a passport to be able to stay in Japan and take care of her brother. And so we're basically just going around back and forth. Here's Shinmei and trying to get that membership card. But she ends up saying, like, no, I'm so sorry, like, I gave it to someone else.
Yeah, and she basically sends us to an old, I guess, acquaintance of hers, who will be willing to give it to us, but only for 300,000 yen. So that's your second money wall in the run. I didn't call it out, but the gambling hall is the first one. You have to spend 100,000 yen to get in there. You get it back after, but the game wants to know that you at least got that much money at that point in the game. Again, these games are really not designed for speedrunning. They're not designed for you to just mainline the main story. They really, really want you to engage with the side content, and they have a whole bunch of methods to that end. Another one, by the way, is the fact that you don't always just get teleported to your next destination. For example, at the end of the park fight we just had, the game didn't teleport us to Club Jewel. We had to run back. And that's because, again, they want to give you a chance to do minigames, to run into sub-story triggers, all that good stuff. Just your classic Yakuza game design. I meant to bonk that guy, but it didn't. That's unfortunate.
So, is there anyone that speedruns these games with, like, high completion percentage runs? Or is that just way too long?
Yes, there's a few people like that. You're talking to one of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I actually do speedrun all sub-stories for this game. For those who don't know, sub-stories are kind of like the side quests in this game, in Yakuza games. The all sub-stories run for this game, I came up with a new reward for it that saved over an hour. It's now at like 7.5 hours. There are a few people who do... Yeah. Once you go all sub-stories, it's like JRPG length runs, typically. Yeah. There are a few people who do 100% runs, but those are typically segmented runs because those are really, really long. Tapioca did one for... that should have been a chart attack. This is a problem. But yeah, Tapioca did one recently for Yakuza 5. And I think that came in at like 35 hours?
Ooh, wow.
Somewhere in the 35 to 40 hour range. Yeah, it's a lot.
That's intense. Yeah, well, all sub-stories, like 7 hours. That's like a...
Majima, please. Okay. All right. Thanks for that, Majima. I didn't need to save time. That's fine. But yeah, it's long. But yeah, it's very interesting to do the routing for that. I really like routing all sub-stories runs. Actually, running them is exhausting. It's satisfying, but you know, I don't do it often.
Sure.
But yeah, I was actually thinking about that recently when you were doing Dark Souls 100% runs. That it's really funny to think just how much of a ramp up that is in times when you do those high completion runs.
Yeah, I mean, Dark Souls 100% is only 3.5 hours. Like
That's
seven is quite a step up from that.
Yeah, that's the Yakuza 0 run. That's 3.5 hours.
I mean that's not surprising that the Yakuza games like high completion percentage runs are so long though. There's so much extra content in these games.
Yeah. And a lot of it's a really interesting challenge to route them because sub-stories will open up at different chapters and sometimes one sub-story will depend on another, so there's a lot of different considerations to take into the routing. Okay, but this is chapter 11. We are at the last leg of the run. Got another, I think, 15 minutes or so RTA. This is Shangri-La. The layout here, learning this layout, learning how to move optimally here is probably one of the more difficult things to remember when you start running this game. Luckily, if you run both this and the original Yakuza, the layout is the same, so that knowledge transfers. A lot of knowledge transfers actually between runs of Kiwami and OG1, which is very nice. Obviously not the combat. The combat is very, very different, but a lot of the navigation stuff is the same because the story is the same. But okay, in the Shangri-La set piece, luckily we don't really have to fight a lot of these guys. I can just run past most of them. The only guys we need to get rid of are these sofa guys. Again, this is classic Yakuza design. They don't want to force you to fight every single enemy, but they do want you to at least have to deal with something. So we've got these B guys who just stand there and swing sofas. That's a great job. I would love to have that job myself if I was in a criminal organization. And yeah, once we deal with those, we have once again for the last time Goro Majima. Oh, I should have waited a bit. Sorry, I ruined the surprise. Goro Majima, yeah! Now, Goro Majima, in this fight, you can't grab him at all, so I'm going to have to do some fancy stuff here. So if any of my commentators can explain what's happening, including time for destruction, please go ahead.
What you just saw was time for destruction, so that's a special buff, which depletes all of our heat, but gives us a damage buff. Which we use for a charge attack into a Goemon heat move. Now we bump Majima, this is very important. This way we cancel his Kiwami animation. And now we can just shoot him once we get downstairs, and we don't have to wait for him to finish that animation. And yeah, I think, yeah, time for distraction, yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm done.
No, you're good, you're good. Time for destruction. So we were talking about like the exponential growth of damage buffs in this game, and time for destruction is another one on top of that. Some enemies just have a lot of HP, and in an earlier route for Legend, I would actually just kind of spam heat moves on enemies, just use 3 or 4 in a row, which was kind of tedious. So time for destruction allows you to just take that down to the 1 heat move, which is very nice. But okay, this is chapter 12. There are a lot of cutscene skips here. So do either of my commenters maybe want to share a bit of your experience with Kiwami, maybe sell people on the run a bit?
Jingu. I can try, yes. However, I mean, it's a challenging run for sure, even the easier any percent difficulties, because we also aim to not get hit in those as well, obviously. But that can also turn out to be frustrating sometimes, since yeah, you could theoretically lose quite a bit of time because of that. However, I think that they are very fun runs, like learning all those different bits of tech, etc.
So,
Yeah.
No, you said that you have how much time left, RTA?
I'm not really sure at this point. I'm sorry, I'm not so sure. Why are we up against the estimate?
No, it might be a little bit under, like by a good bit. Do you happen to?
Oh
have
yeah,
anything,
that's to be
extra?
expected.
Do you have anything extra that you might be able to show off for us?
Maybe.
Okay.
There's a few things I can think of.
Yeah, that'd be great. Just to like help us fill in some extra time.
Sure, and I'll tell you what, I actually forgot to do a shop in this chapter, and we're going to lose
Okay.
time to that in the chapter coming up, so that fills up the time a bit. Once again, any percent muscle memory in any percent you don't do this shop, so yeah, I just kind of forgot. That's fine, it's only like half a minute, but in a PB attempt, this would be very tragic. But yeah, we're actually now in the finale. There's not a lot of game left. So I guess I just want to say a few words that don't relate so much to the run itself. Again, like Regal said, Frame Fatales is going to be next week. And that's a very important marathon. And this run specifically, Yakuza Kiwami, I've mentioned a runner by the name of Lilligram who discovered Max Crush and was the first to find a way to beat Majima in any percent. Lilligram is a trans woman, and she was very important for this run and a lot of other Yakuza runs. And I would just like to express solidarity with the trans community at this point. Given everything that's been happening recently, I think it's more important than ever that we make it clear that trans people are part of the speedrunning community and they're here to stay, they're not going anywhere, and the same is true for all other spheres of life as well. But okay, yeah, Garlic, Firelight, do one of you want to explain what's happening in these fights?
Yeah, we're mostly just taking care of all these ads with the shotgun and then doing charged attacks on the guys with bigger HP there.
And there's a subtle difference. The guy in the leopard skin shirt, leopard print shirt, his name, by the way, is Kojima. And he's very aggressive, so I try to shoot him as fast as possible. So I just immediately take out the gun and shoot. The guy after him, his name is Ono, and he's kind of slow, so I actually take a step forward so he doesn't fall down before I can grab him and do the charge attack on him. Just a bit of a nuance there with how we deal with those fights. And, yeah, is there anything to say?
I have
You have to get the heals.
I have
Yes,
another
please.
announcement that ties in with what you were just saying.
Mm-hmm.
So you can also check out GDQ's International Transgender Day of Visibility celebration, a weekend highlighting transgender speedrunners on March 29th and the 30th. Use !transvisibility in Twitch chat for more info. Back to you now.
Yeah, so this is actually the penultimate mob fight of the run. We're picking up a gun from the floor here just to clean these guys up. Now, there's a bit of tech here as well. So you'll see that I'm shooting this gun very quickly. What I'm doing is I'm holding the aim button. I'm holding R1 or RB on an Xbox controller, shooting and then letting go again. And that allows us to like cancel the animation of Kiryu lifting the gun and putting it back down. And that really kind of is important to save time in sections that use guns, which is mostly here in Chapter 10. But yeah, also, the guy behind me, sometimes he takes 2 runs. I can't believe. Okay. Sometimes he takes 2 bullets. I thought he was going to take 3. Sometimes it takes a while until the health bars at the bottom actually update. No! Okay, that's fine. If you don't get hit there, you don't need to use a heat move. That's fine. That's not a big time loss. But yeah, all I was gonna say was I always double tap the guy behind you because you may remember I was explaining the Elder Belly Warmer. I didn't get healing items. Oh no. Okay.
I mean, yeah, Garlic was
I tried to cut in
reminding
before.
you, but yeah.
Well, that just shows you listen to women. Sorry, we're gonna have to do that little section again because there's just no way. Even if you don't take any hits, you need a lot of extra heat at the end of this run. So apologies, everyone. Very, very unprofessional. Again, I can try and blame any % brain, but after so long running this category, I don't think I have the legitimacy to do that. Either way, you just get to see this again. So, good times. But yeah, so I was mentioning the Elder Belly Warmer. The damage buff from the Elder Belly Warmer, you actually see it here because when you're left with just one enemy, sometimes a gunshot isn't enough to finish them off. So that's something to keep in mind. I hope I can shoot these guys before they shoot me. Very good. But yeah, once again, if you're interested in learning this run, I think Kiwami is a really, really cool run. If you want to speedrun Yakuza games, a lot of people ask what is the best Yakuza game to start from. I legitimately think it's this one. I started running Kiwami because I wanted to run 0, and this was close enough and much, much shorter. And it's become straight up my favorite speedrun. Really, really cool run. We've got a lot of great categories. We've got any %, we've got New Game Plus, we've got all sub-stories, we've got Legend. Any kind of flavor of Yakuza run you may be interested in, I think Kiwami is a really good place to start. There's a tutorial for this, there's notes, there is a lot of resources to learn. So yeah, please run Yakuza Kiwami and feel free to talk to me or any of the other runners here if you have any questions about how to get into the run. But okay, this brings us back. Sorry, go ahead,
sorry.
Garlic. No, please.
I was just gonna say I'm really grateful for the tutorials you made because you're really good at explaining these runs when I was learning K1 and 0.
Thank you, that means a lot. And
You didn't actually have tutorials when I started learning, but I learned with your notes and everything, so it was really helpful.
I had tutorials for the really, really old route. Each one of them started with me singing a song from the Yakuza 7 soundtrack, so I'm kind of glad we got rid of those. All right, a bit of tech for Murasa here. You want to wait until his animation starts, or you could just do nothing sometimes. Very nice. Murasa shaming me in front of the entire marathon. No, so sometimes he does this uppercut animation, and if you shoot him just as he does that, it staggers him. But we got the stagger for free, so no worries. Good stuff. Okay, but this is, again, the last big mob fight. I'm going to shoot all these guys to the best of my ability. I have used more shotgun ammo than I usually do, so I'm going to have to fall back on guns. That's why we get 2 handguns. Me and Patke talked a bunch of times about routing out that second handgun we get, because you don't always need it. It's essentially just a backup. But there's really nothing better. You can... Okay. That guy just decided to no-sell everything I was doing. That happens sometimes. In short, it's a good thing we have this backup. Okay. I suddenly forgot how to aim. Sorry. But okay, Jujungu fight. This fight is really, really scary. I love this fight, actually. This is one of my favorite fights in the entire run. But it's a very, very scary fight. Because Jingu has these 2 guys... And all of the enemies in this fight are considered bosses, so we can't just gun them down. So I'm going to do some style switches here, because there's a cooldown at the beginning of this fight when you can't use heat moves. So I do that just to get rid of the cooldown, just wait out the clock on it. I switched to Rush because Jingu loves to throw grenades in this fight. And he can... oh, there you go. He did it. Luckily, you do get hyper armor during that animation, so he couldn't actually knock me out of it. But as you can see, it does a lot of damage. All right, so what I want to do here is I want to be in climax heat, try to throw this man. Nice. And now with the Goemon heat move, we'll get him down to 1 HP. Now again, Jingu is one of those bosses who doesn't want to let you finish him off before you've seen the second phase, which we're about to get. I'm going to hit him, not because you can actually do damage. Sir, going to your second phase, please. But yeah, I'm just going...
That was faster than usual.
Yeah, he can be a lot more problematic than that. But yeah, the only reason I hit him is to build up the climax seat, saves me the menu and having to use the item. And once we get here and he starts to Kiwami, we can take him out. Nice. And now, Beast, charge attack. Finish this guy. This is going really well. And another charge attack, and we'll be able to finish the other guy. Now, sometimes you will get hit by these guys, and they will knock you down. That's fine. That's just part of the process. I don't want to try and grab them, because in the state they're in right now, very often they can avoid grabs completely. Not even counter them, you just can't grab through their dodge animation. But okay, by the way, people playing this casually, how mad were you when you were playing this the first time and those two guys got up after you finally got rid of them? I was livid, personally. But okay, this is the final fight, and time will be when Nishiki's health bar disintegrates. Do wait for me to tell you when that happens, because it might not be completely evident. But yeah, this is free. This is, even on Legend, this fight is completely free. The last actual point where anything can go wrong is Jingu. So we are looking good here. And thanks to all the buffs we have, that gets through all of Nishiki's many, many health bars. And now, as usual, it's just left to get through his phases. So you know what that means? Shoulder bashes. So that's one. And the second one. This last one can be kind of challenging because the camera angle here is kind of funky. So it's kind of it can be kind of difficult to close distance with him, but we should be okay. And yeah, go down here. Now, there's going to be a QTE. This QTE will not in itself finish Nishiki off, but the animation after it will. So do a bit of a mesh. And time will be in a little bit. Be ready on the timer. And time. That's Yakuza Kiwami Legend.
Nice.
Yeah.
Huge underestimate.
Yes. Sorry about that, by the way.
No, it's okay.
Like I said, a lot of things
I know how
go
it
wrong.
is. I know how it is running games that are like not super consistent. So like you know, you want to have like a comfy estimate, but you killed it. Even with all the stuff that went wrong, like there was a lot of stuff that went well.
Nice. What was the final time?
I think it was 2:04:04.
Oh, that's not too bad for a marathon. I'll take that. But okay, since we do have a lot of extra time, there is some stuff I can show if we want to fill this time up a bit. I do think that cuts off the share in Discord, so I'll start that up again. Yeah, let me do.
Okay. Well, while we set that up, let's just go to a real quick break. Then we can set up this little extra bit that we have to give us some more extra Yakuza Kiwami speedrunning content that we have for everyone, okay? So we're just gonna take a short little break, set that up, and then we'll come right back for a little bit more, okay? So stick around, we'll be right back, okay? Sound good?
Yeah, no problem. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. Sorry, Regal, did you want to go first?
Oh, I was just gonna say welcome back, everyone. That's okay. We are back with a little bit more Yakuza content because Nono just killed the run. Like really, really great run. Super well under estimate, and we have a lot of extra time. So Nono's gonna show off some cool stuff for you in the game as well. So go ahead, take it away, Nono.
And the beautiful thing is this is all completely improvised. Which is definitely what you want to do live. But yeah, I did mention an out of bounds earlier. Let me try and show you the out of bounds itself and explain why we don't actually use it in the run.
I'd love to see this.
So I've not done this in a really long time. So hopefully this actually works.
As someone that's big fan of like glitches in games, like even if they're not useful, I'd love to see this.
Yeah, it's actually there are a few Yakuza runs that have legit glitches in them. Yakuza 5 has some text stacking, so there's a part in Yakuza 5 where you do the classic thing of, oh, this should be a cutscene trigger, but the cutscene can trigger when there's text on screen. Yeah, it's kind of very Silent Hill 2 coded. And yeah, there's something like that in Yakuza 5. In this game, I wouldn't say there's anything that's an outright glitch, but there is, not in the run at least. We do have this out of bounds, which again, I need to see if I remember how to do. So the idea is you want to position yourself up against the boy here, and it's kind of, you can see it kind of pushes me gradually. Yeah. Oh, there you go. We got it.
Nice.
And we are officially out of bounds. Oh, no, I'm back. I'm back in bounds.
Oh, it just
that was a very short out of bounds. So I just didn't move in the right direction. I can just do this again and just move better this time, hopefully. Can I get this to happen again? There we go. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so this time, let's be a bit more careful about this. I need to go this way. There you go. That should be... No. There you go. So I'm just going to be careful here. And as you can see, I'm just going through the buildings. And once I walk long enough, some cool stuff there. And I'll just clear on the other side of the city.
Yeah.
And
that's nice.
You'd think, because you do have a few other things you get here. For example, much later in the chapter, you remember we go here, we fight the second Hirata fight. Maybe we could go all the way up here, you might think, and hit the end of the chapter trigger in the Dojima office. None of this is active. So we don't actually use it in the run. You don't even have access to any of the stores. I can't go to the pawn shop where we do the later sections. None of this, unfortunately, works. And I actually forget what happens, because you see those red points on the map. Those block you and send you back in bounds when you're on the correct side of it. I wonder what happens if you hit these from these side. Okay, so Kiryu just walks back in bounds.
Okay.
So yeah, that's an inbounds.
Live testing what happens right now.
yeah. I'm discovering this once again myself. Yakuza 0, by the way, also has an out of bounds. It involves, so interestingly, Yakuza 0 has two maps. It has this map of Kamurocho that we see right here. It also has another city, Sotenbori. And under the hood, those two maps are kind of layered on top of each other. So if you get into a certain kind of fight spawn in Sotenbori and you just exit to the title, you don't like finish the fight and then exit. You exit to the title from within the fight. When you start a playthrough, it'll put you in the corresponding coordinate in Kamurocho. And that way you can also get out of bounds at the beginning of Yakuza 0. But again, there's just no way of using that, unfortunately.
Are there any other places to get out of bounds that you're aware of in this game?
No. And I would really like... So actually, because we have all this extra time, let me show you. I believe that if we found a way, so right here, right in front of me, is the trigger for the Majima fight. You can see in the distance this guy that my crosshair is trained on. This is Abe that we fight right after we defeat Majima and get all of the experience from him. My theory is if you find a way to skip the trigger for Majima, you can go to Abe and actually have the fight. Because it seems like in this case the trigger is active. It wouldn't save you time in any percent and legend because again the experience you get from Majima is too good. But in New Game Plus runs, we don't need that extra experience, so that would actually be a huge time save.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So if anyone has thoughts, I like routing, but I'm a very, very bad glitch hunter. So if anyone has ideas for how to go out of bounds and stuff like that, there's a lot of stuff in Yakuza Speedrunning, in this game, in Yakuza 0, in a lot of other Yakuza runs that would be blown wide open by discoveries like that.
Yeah, I've been speedrunning for like 8 years. I've only found 2 glitches ever.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever found a glitch. I've found tech, but not actual glitches.
Right, yeah. So what else do you have for us, No?
So I could show you, since we just played a game on Legend, I could show you how everything we did translates to fighting the hardest bosses in the run, which are at the end of the Majima Everywhere storyline, I guess. You can fight Majima, and when he's fully leveled up, essentially he's kind of like Chapter 2 Majima, except, we have a lot more tools for fighting him. And also the regular secret boss of the series, which is Amon, which you gain access to by doing all the sub-stories. I have a save for these guys somewhere, I just need to find it.
A lot of saves.
Yeah, that's how you know you've been speedrunning the game too much, when you have all these different sets of safety saves. But yeah, this should be it. Again, I have not practiced this. This is all completely improvised on the spur of the moment. So what I'm going to try to do, this is fully leveled up Kiryu. We've got the Tiger Drop, which is a very strong counter attack. And if I time this correctly, which again, I've not done this in a really long time, we should be able to finish this fight very, very quickly. But let's see what kind of luck we get. Okay, that's bad. I don't want that attack. Please do something else, Majima. Not that. He is not playing along very well. Man, he just wants to spin. Okay, that's what we want. That's more like it. And once again, this. Brother.
Wait, Majima Saga?
Yes, so there's a...
We would be very happy if this was...
if this was an actual Legend run, then this was Chapter 2, yes. Okay, so, like I said, the Kiwami damage buff applies to any charge deck. So, as you can see, there's a charge deck in Dragon as well. We just do that. We do the Kiwami on him. And yeah, that's Majima. Again, if this goes correctly, it's... Yeah, if this goes well, it's like 2 Tiger Drops and the Kiwami Heat move, and that's it. So you finish him off very, very quickly. Now, after we beat Majima, and of course do all the other sub-stories on the lead up to this, we also have... I just realized this is my New Game Plus save, so I have the Mew shoes on. The Mew shoes are an item that gives you money as you walk, but it does that sound, so enjoy that for a bit. I think I'll just leave them on. But yeah, so that's the text message that indicates that you're about to fight him on. Oh, that's Majima again. Sorry, Majima, I'm not interested in another round of this. Okay, so let me save here. And this is the Amon fight. So Amon's first phase is relatively easy. Doesn't matter what option you use here. And the nice thing about the first phase is that this is just Tiger Drop heaven. You can Tiger Drop almost everything the man does in this phase. So let's see how well I remember the timing for this. No. No. So far, so bad. Okay. Okay, that's fine.
Maybe funny side fact, Amon actually has the same moveset as Kiryu in this fight.
Ooh. I am not. Oh, a grenade too. Okay, there you go. That's what you want to see. Okay, I'm starting to kind of get used to the timing again. Damn. He might actually kill me.
So is this like supposed to be like one of the toughest bosses of the game? Would be toughest?
Yeah, this is supposed to be your super boss, essentially.
Yeah.
This Amon took me a while to get down.
Yeah, it's taking me a while too, unfortunately. Man. Also getting a bit of bad luck here just because I'm not getting the best moves out of him, but also I'm very rusty on the timing for this. Okay, nice. So that's Amon's first phase. Now, as we've mentioned before, in Yakuza Kiwami, you do get diminishing returns for heat moves. So you don't just want to spam the same heat move again and again. You want to do a bit of variety here. So I'm going to wait until he gets back up. I already did my charge attack. And now I am just going to keep hitting him with different kinds of heat moves. Man, unfortunate, the wake-up counter.
So you're trying to get through the first phase without using any heat moves, and you're just gonna like
exactly. So
this last one. Okay.
And this is Majimo's dagger that we just got from the fight. Another heat move here. Okay, get away so he doesn't. He
You
was
got
too quick.
several HP bars worth of HP.
Yeah, so it's huge damage, but he's also being very nasty. I only have one stamina, and I might need to retry this. Okay, let's try something like this. We have this heat move, which you always get for free in Dragon Style. And yeah, now we might be in trouble. Okay.
Oh, did that just one-shot you from
Yep.
full HP? Wow.
Yep, that just does that. And because this is Legend, we just get booted right to the main menu. We don't even get to load a save or anything. But yeah, okay, I think I can do much better here if, now that I will hopefully...
Here, let's give it another shot.
Yeah.
Do you have to...
Amon got hands.
do you have to fight this guy in the
All sub-stories? Yeah, but we run all sub-stories on... Oh, I have more healing items. Okay, should just grab those. You do, but we run all sub-stories on easy.
Sure.
So-
This is still like higher difficulty, yeah.
Yeah, I do at some point want to do a Kiwami all sub-stories legend run, but it's gonna take a while. I would imagine that one will be, I don't know, it'll probably be closer to 10 hours. But okay, let's try that again. Now that I remember the timing for the Tiger Drop and everything a bit better. Because the second phase is actually not that... It's much easier. I just need to remember the timing for... Sorry, I just didn't have enough... I didn't have enough, like, health recovery items to be optimal. Okay.
It's intense.
Nice. Okay, okay. We're getting there. We also kind of depend on him to... We also kind of depend on him to do attacks that can actually Tiger Drop. You can Tiger Drop a lot of these combos, I just don't remember the timing for... as you can see, his light attacks are very fast, so it can just be very challenging to get the Tiger Drop timing down without practice. Okay, I really would have liked him to not do that, first of all, and also please do your heavy attacks as well.
Wow, that's like almost no wind up for that.
Yeah.
I mean, he stands still for a second and then just instantly goes into it.
And when again, because I did this for when I ran Kiwami at GDQ in 2023, GDQ 2023. But then, I was practiced. Now it's kind of just having to improvise, and it's not as easy. Okay. Whew.
There you go.
All right, now we should be absolutely fine. So, yeah, I guess we'll start with this move. And you actually do more heat move damage in Beast, so I'm gonna opt for that. At least with the dagger. Okay, so that's one. Don't knock me down, thank you. Okay, next I'm gonna use the umbrella. That's bad.
Now he needs to charge up the buff again.
Yeah, because
he hit someone.
Oh, wow.
yeah, that's very unfortunate. Do we have time to try a third time, or should we just call it?
I think we can go for one more.
Yeah. Hopefully, third tries the charm.
Yeah, so maybe to elaborate on what just happened before that, when you do that charge attack, you're not allowed to do anything else if you want to get the damage buff for the heat move. So if you hit an enemy, or if you just grab the air, for example, the buff is gone.
Yeah, it has to be the next attack you do. So if the game does the funny thing where it shows you the heat move prompt and then just doesn't let you do the heat move, then you are just out of luck.
Nice.
Yeah, so I just remembered what you actually want to do is you want to be like slightly out of range. And that makes...
Spacing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that makes countering much easier. There you go.
It's learning. It's getting better.
I'm finally learning how to speedrun this game. No! Oh my god. That's so scary.
That would have been funny if
you...
you just like immediately died. Right?
Yep. Honestly, that would be cinema.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that. Okay.
Nice.
Now we're talking. Let me actually grab this right here. I feel like this heat move might be a problem in the future as well. Okay, nice. Yeah, and to avoid getting done like that, I usually like to get into cover here. Like now, yeah, I have the Demon Fire Dagger on. Oh, I don't have heat though. Might want some of that. Did you know that you need heat to use heat moves?
I honestly
Just-
didn't know that.
Fair enough.
No.
Fair enough.
It's been a while since I played Yakuza.
Well, you know, there's only one person who can fix that.
Myself. I do have this game. I just it's been in my backlog forever after playing Zero.
Right. Yeah, and I get that people, you know, it's a long series of long games. I understand that it can be very daunting to get into. If someone told me to get into a run that has into a series that has this many parts to it, I probably would hesitate as well. Oh, that's not good.
There's just too many games to play.
True.
Too little time in general.
But this is the best one. This is the best
This
video
is the
game.
one you should play.
Yep. Just forget all the other video games.
Yeah, true. Stop playing Polytro.
Well, I wasn't gonna say. But okay, what else can I do here? Let's try this heat move. Oh, that's the same heat move. That's not gonna do a lot of damage. Okay, we should have more environmental weapons here. Yeah.
I think you didn't use much of a dagger yet, but it's the same animation, right?
Yeah. So as long as you use the same.
Oh no.
Well, I think you get the idea. I mean, I don't mind trying again, but I know that you're on limited time, so maybe it's better to just move on.
That's probably all for today. But I appreciate you showing off all that stuff.
Yeah. So again, this probably shows you the idea. Unfortunately, yeah, without practice, it's kind of hard to just pull this off.
Yeah,
but
that's okay.
Again, the principle here is the same as the principle in the Chapter 2 fight with Majima. You don't want to repeat the heat moves, so you just kind of vary it up, so you keep doing, more damage with the heat moves. You don't get the diminishing returns. But yeah, I guess that'll be it. Garlic, Firelight, do either of you have anything to say to close us off?
Thanks for having us, first of all.
Yeah.
If you're interested in speedrunning any Yakuza game, even if it's not Kiwami, like if you played another game in the entry maybe and you liked it, try to look into the speedrun. We have a speedrun Discord. Feel free to join. We got lots of resources there. And yeah, that's it from me.
Yeah, just thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you indeed. And I will be in the near future doing a lot of runs of the new Yakuza game, Pirate Yakuza. So if you're interested, Big No-No on Twitch. Yeah, and once again, thanks for having us. Oh, and Garlic here will be showing another Yakuza game, Dead Souls. She will be doing a speedrun of that on Thursday on Passion Project. So you definitely want to see that. Cool. Dead Souls is a very, very special game, to say the least.
It is the video game.
It is a video game. That's true.
I do like video games.
I've heard they're pretty good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you all so much for appearing on the show. That was really cool. The Yakuza games are super amazing. I wish I had more time to play them myself. I wish I had all the time in the world. I could even maybe learn to speedrun them. Although they are kind of long speedruns, but I've gotten more into long runs recently. So, but I really appreciate it. That was an awesome run. You went so underestimated. You killed that. No, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
But up next, stick around. We have another show coming up afterwards. Think Fast, the speedrunning trivia show featuring Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu. But that's going to be it for Game Over tonight. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I'm Regal, your host, and we'll see you next time on Game Over. So enjoy the next show. Think fast.